Jenny, and I'm a wife and mom raising 2 kids. But I used to live a more glamorous life as a TV reporter. I was on the nightly news interviewing pop stars and politicians. So when I said goodbye to TV and hello to motherhood, I suddenly discovered what we moms are up against. We live in a world that tells us to be rich and famous, thin and successful. You know, almost nobody says, "Oh, hey, you're a mom? That's fabulous." But you are fabulous, and I'm here to tell you why.
It's the Channelmom Show, celebrating you with Jenny Dean Schmidt.
Okay, we're going to tell you about some things that we want you to stay tuned for. Coming up at 8:10, we have news moms can use. A lot of baby stories in the news today, Shell. One about a mom who pushed her baby away from a train just in time for the baby. Also, the latest on missing baby, Lisa Irwin. And see if you can guess what happened to a mom who ran a marathon 39 weeks pregnant. Also, how multivitamins can lead to death. I think every mom's going to want to hear that. Then at 8:20, the answers to some questions that might seem absolutely outrageous to you about marriage and about mom's behavior and something called Mom Happy Hour. We are going to be introducing a new coffee talk segment for you. I think it's made just for moms. I think moms are going to enjoy this. Finally, we've got a counselor who's infuriated with a recent proposal about marriage contracts, suggesting that we should turn marriage into a limited time contract.
Isn't that what it is already?
Well, it is in 50% of the marriages.
More than that now.
Yeah, I think it's about 52. I think it's between 50 and 52, the last time I checked. All righty. Okay, for my commentary this morning, it's about a movie that I watched. I'm not quite as emotional about it as I was when I first watched it. But at the time, it's really a movie made for moms. And they would never pitch it that way. And it's a historical movie. You would not get it if you wanted a chick flick. You just wouldn't. But it's about the assassination of President Lincoln. And it's about the man, who was found guilty of doing so, which was John Wilkes Booth, to carry out that evil mission. And by the way, when I tell this story, because it may seem like I'm not placing importance or due respect for that horrible moment in our history, I am. But the mother that's portrayed in this movie, by the end of it, I just lay in bed for about half an hour thinking about what it means to be a mom. And I'll tell you why. All right, the man that helped John Wilkes Booth, who was accused of helping him, was
I've seen this movie, right? It's the conspiracy.
The conspirator.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. His name was, I was kind of trying to keep that a secret till the end, just to get people going.
Sorry.
You just ruined it, Shell. His name was John Surratt, the man that helped John Wilkes Booth. John had a 42-year-old mother named Mary Surratt. Okay? I'm kind of surprised you watched it. It's very much a period film. I don't think a lot of people get it. But the 42-year-old mother was the character that was portrayed in this movie. Some thought she was totally guilty of carrying out the assassination of President Lincoln. Others believed that Mary was innocent and not guilty of anything more than wanting to protect her son and eventually die for him. So I want to say again that I'm not belittling the abhorrent assassination of President Lincoln, obviously. But for me, this movie was about the heart of every mom. Because what ends up happening, and this is really all I want to say today, is that throughout the movie, you've seen it. I'm kind of glad you've seen it. Is that you keep seeing this mother, and she's everybody around her that comes to know her believes she's innocent. That she did not know that they were conspiring to kill Lincoln in her home, and et cetera, et cetera. But she's so determined to save her son, and I don't know if that's admirable or not, if indeed he was guilty. But she wanted to save her son, so she didn't want anybody to testify against him. She didn't want her daughter to testify to try to save her. At one point, it became clear that if he came forward, it would save her life, which he did not do. And you watched her so stoically walk out to what was the gallows because she was hung.
Right.
And I looked at her and I thought, that is the heart of just about every mom I know. She was willing to die for her son, and she did. And as you watched her drop and her neck broken, you thought, oh my goodness, this is what I would do for my child. And I just want to emphasize that this morning because I think we forget about it. I think in the mad rush of everything and taking kids to football and taking kids to baseball and taking kids to soccer, whatever it is that you're taking your child to, and running in homework and birthday parties, etc., we forget about how precious and sacred the relationship between a mother and a child is. And this movie just captured it. She gladly died. She was the only one up there on those gallows that wasn't sobbing.
Let me ask you this, though. What if you knew he was guilty?
Oh, and I think she did. She was still.
I don't know if she did. I mean, he has some guilt in it, but
I don't think she thought he was guilty enough to deserve to die. So she would rather die and protect him. I mean, I think he was conspiring. I don't think he was quite, he didn't shoot him like Booth did. But yeah. Anyway, I thought that was touching. And I actually remember the moment where I realized that I would die for our son.
Oh, yeah.
I was in my home and I was, I just finished nursing him or something. And he was a baby, just brand new, a week or two old. And I remember lying there and thinking, you know what? I've been afraid to die my whole life, but I'm not afraid anymore because I would die for my son.
Yeah, who would want to live without him? I would rather die. Pick me.
Right.
Because I don't want to live with you gone.
And I just want to say amen to the unselfish love of a mother. Because I think there's not a lot of that in the society, but it's sure strong and true with moms. It is, and yes. I love that about mothers. I do. I love it. Okay, time for the news, Dan.
If you're tired of the same old news,
what more do you want?
I want the truth.
You're hearing it. Strap yourselves in, folks.
never fear.
What's the dealio?
Part of life is learning to let things go.
We've got news moms can use.
What was that name again? I missed that.
News moms can use.
Okay, we've got a lot of interesting news today, Shell. So feel free to weigh in. In the news this week, we've got the latest stories that we pick based on what we think moms want to hear. You tune into the evening news and there's a lot of news there that moms don't particularly want to hear. Now, that doesn't mean all of our stories are happy. We try to do pretty well, but some of our stories are just about moms and those aren't always happy, unfortunately. Okay, out of Riverside, California, a mother pushing a baby in a stroller across railroad tracks last Saturday night was killed by a train, but shoved the stroller containing her baby to safety just in time. Authorities reported this. 33-year-old Susan DeBean was trying to walk through the Riverside crossing when the stroller became stuck on the tracks, according to police. The desperate mom managed to free the stroller, but she didn't escape the oncoming Metrolink commuter train herself. Police later reported that Ms. DeBean's baby girl was fine. Now, I want you to know that the reporter in me, I did make some calls to Southern California.
Because I'm wondering, why was she crossing the tracks?
Exactly. So I made some phone calls. I'm not going to say to who, but because they told me some things. But I want to warn you, there is some concern about making this mom into a hero, because all over the internet, it was like she was a hero. She'd saved her baby, isn't this amazing mom, et cetera, et cetera. But there are reports, and some of the people I spoke to, that the crossing arms were down. I mean, the blinking lights, the crossing arms were down, et cetera. And yet this mom decided to push her baby into the path of an oncoming train, which, and then it got stuck, et cetera, et cetera. But some people say this was highly irresponsible and maybe even intentional. Reports of potential marriage, discourse there that maybe they were breaking up and so on and so forth.
And last minute change of heart.
And last minute change of heart, she shoved her free. So I'm not saying that's, we don't know what happened exactly, but they're just saying suspect. It was highly irresponsible and suspect. So you can decide whether or not you think this mom is a hero or not. I'm sure glad she saved her baby. Speaking of babies, if you're a mom, you've probably followed the heartbreaking story of the disappearance of 10-month-old Lisa Irwin from her home in Kansas City, Missouri. The baby's parents say she was taken from her crib in the middle of the night. At one point, Jeremy Irwin and Deborah Bradley, the parents, had stopped cooperating with police, saying they were tired of the police questioning. Neither parent has been officially named as a suspect, but experts do acknowledge that investigators often focus on close relatives when a baby goes missing. Now, in this case, they've also, I just read on the internet last night, they pointed out a lot of discrepancies, I guess, in the stories that these people have been telling.
Now, wasn't also the baby on the second story of the
you
house?
said that. I've never read that, but
okay.
You said that. I don't know. But the screen wasn't off or anything like that. And they said, why would the person put the screen back on? Things like that. Suspicion almost always falls heavily on the parents, especially when it's young kids. According to Dr. David Finkelhor, 1,500 parents kill their kids every year. And we've been talking about that. 1,500 parents kill their children in this country every year. Meanwhile, Ernie Allen, president of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, expressed hope that babies can be found alive and well. However, Allen said his organization has handled 278 infant abduction cases over almost 30 years, and only 13 cases involved a stranger. And when it's a stranger, all but one of those was found. So,
wow.
And more people are calling this mom crazy than admirable in online polls. This story from Today Moms. Amber Miller decided to run a marathon last Sunday, even though she was 39 weeks pregnant.
I'm surprised the race director let her in.
Well, but her doctor said she could, so she must have had like a doctor's note.
Maybe she was a marathon runner before she even got pregnant.
She was.
Serious runner.
Could you just listen, Shel?
Oh, sorry.
I'll get
you
to that.
You said pipe in.
I did say pipe. And aren't you pipey today? Okay. So her doctor allowed it, and said she should switch off between running and walking every 2 miles. Now, in case you're one of the people who thinks she's crazy, Miller had run 7 marathons before this. And actually, I think she'd run 2 of them pregnant because she has another child. she herself thought and we were going to air a soundbite. I don't think we have it though. She herself thought she couldn't do it right before the race. She thought she was going to give birth. But when race day came, there was no baby yet. She decided to go for it. Now, this is the very best part. Amber's husband, Joe, had never run a marathon ever in his life, had not trained for it, had never run one. But because he was so concerned about his wife and baby-to-be, he decided to run the race with his wife at the last minute, and he came in only 10 to 15 minutes behind her. Oh my gosh, and his knee gave out. So he was like limping the last half of the marathon. 26.2 miles, mind you.
That's got to be really hard on the husband to come in behind your very pregnant wife.
I know, but at the same time, he didn't even train. I'm impressed. And she was, she did it in 6 hours something. I mean, that's, After running for his wife, this loyal husband then hopped in the car to take her to the hospital right after the race because, surprise, surprise, she was having contractions. And the couple's daughter, June, was born 7 hours later on Sunday night. Healthfully.
Another marathon.
Exactly. Amber, by the way, is a 27-year-old stay-at-home mom. We tried to call her as well this week and couldn't get a hold of her, who lives in the Chicago suburb of Westchester, Illinois. Baby June has an older brother named Caleb. Okay, are you ready for this? You take supplements such as multivitamins, minerals, folic acid to improve your health, but some research now suggests these supplements may actually raise the odds of death in older women who take them. Dietary supplements are widely used in the U.S., often with the hope of avoiding chronic disease. However, multivitamins, vitamin B6, folic acid, iron, magnesium, zinc, and copper were associated with increased risk of death, according to a study out of the University of Eastern Finland. However, you can run out and stock up on your calcium because calcium supplements seem to reduce the risk of death. So, why don't you just drink milk is what I'm wondering. I guess it's because it's got fat in it.
I'm kind of happy to hear that because I don't really like taking vitamins anyway.
Yeah. Coming up, new proposals for marriage could just blow your mind. You can be the judge after you recover from the shock of these ideas coming up.